Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about something that a lot of you guys have been asking me about, and I've been talking a little bit over on Instagram about this, but I wanted to give you guys like a full comprehensive video about it because I know there's a lot of questions regarding what to do and how to do it. So this video is going to be all about how to sell on Instagram, whether that be your current Poshmark inventory, new inventory that you're picking up, or just stuff from your personal closet. So if that sounds interesting, then just keep watching. Okay, so today I'm basically going to be going over everything that you guys need to know as far as selling items on Instagram, which most of you guys are probably like, what are you talking about? Instagram isn't a selling platform. Like, how would you even go about doing that? So first of all, I'm going to go through all the benefits of selling on Instagram just so you guys get an idea of like maybe why I'm doing this, and then I'll kind of break down what I've been doing so that you guys have like step-by-step instructions on what to do. Now, before I get into all of the details about how to sell on Instagram, I also wanted to mention that I've been doing this for a couple of years, kind of off and on. Not necessarily like showing everything that I find and bringing that to you guys first, but over the last couple of years, I've sold several different kinds of things through Instagram just to different friends, and if somebody sees something that they want, before it goes up on Poshmark, I am selling that directly. And a lot in the last probably 12 months or so, I've been getting a lot more messages when I show my finds saying like, hey, I really want this item, like how can I buy it from you directly right now before you list it? And people just wanting to get first dibs. So that's the main reason why I've started doing this, just because there were a lot of people who were asking me to kind of like offer this, even though it wasn't necessarily part of my business plan before. So that's the main reason why I started doing it. Okay, so now I kind of want to break down all the benefits of selling through Instagram. And when I say I sell through Instagram, I'm actually utilizing the platform of PayPal, which I'm sure most of you guys are familiar with PayPal because eBay, obviously you have to have a PayPal account, or up until now you've had to have a PayPal account to use your eBay account. So I'm selling directly through PayPal on Instagram, and there's lots of different ways you can set up your Instagram page to bring those items to your followers. But the way I've been doing it is just showing a haul of all of my new inventory in my Instagram stories. But there are a lot of other ways to do it. You can also set up an Instagram boutique page, which means you're setting up a different page to show your items rather than using your current social platform to do that. You can also post on your feed different items that are available with instructions on how to purchase. But basically what I do is just write the directions on how to buy the item from me in my stories and then showing the entire haul. And the way that I'm doing that is having everyone direct message me with their PayPal email address, and they can also check out as a guest if they don't have a PayPal account. So that's been the easiest way for me to do it, and it has also been the most beneficial for me as far as financially. I'm not having to set up a website, and also it's extremely simple. So I'm just getting those messages directly and then sending them an invoice via PayPal. Okay, so there's a lot of factors as to why selling through PayPal and Instagram is really beneficial, but I would say number one is that there's substantially lower fees. So it actually depends on what you're selling and how your PayPal is set up, but most of the fees are under 3% depending on the item, so that's really exciting and substantially lower than any other platform, and you're not having to pay for a website platform either. So you're not having to pay to set up a web page, and you're also not having to pay for any additional random fees that may pop up, whether that be on eBay or Etsy, or that very large 20% fee that you would be paying on Poshmark. All right, the next awesome thing about selling on Instagram is the fact that it is so easy to sell on Instagram. And the way that I have it set up is doing it in my stories. So I'm basically just showing a haul of my new items, and I am getting those messages directly to claim the items, which means this is cutting out storing the item, this is cutting out photographing the item, and this is cutting out all of the other prep work that I would need to do for the item. This also means being able to flip your inventory extremely fast, which means you can actually accept a lower profit margin if that's what you choose to do, which is a lot of what I've been doing recently because I've been doing $25 sales. So a lot of the inventory that I'm showing is all a flat $25. So you are able to flip extremely fast, which makes your margins very acceptable. Even if you know, it's maybe even 20% margin, you're getting that immediately, and you're almost getting paid instantly as well, because most of the time those items are selling within about a 5-hour window. Okay, the next thing that I've really noticed about selling through Instagram is the fact that I have had virtually no returns. I have had one return in the last 3 months, and that is because it was my fault and the item was damaged. But once you've created a following and people trust you and know you, it's much easier to sell the item as is and explain the flaws or anything else on it. And they trust you and know what they're buying, and they don't necessarily want to return it for no reason. And of course, if there was ever an issue, you would need to address that with your buyer. but overall, everyone is pretty happy with their items, and you're not having any of these off the wall kind of buyers that you might find on other platforms. And don't get me wrong, these other platforms have plenty of benefits, and I'll go through that a little bit later, but most of the time, if they're following you on Instagram, they already kind of know you and they trust you. So you're not getting any like random people that are buying from you, so you're not going to get any really off the wall returns, at least not in my experience, which has been really great. All right, and then going off of what I said earlier, I also wanted to mention that while you're also not having to photograph and do all the things for prepping the item, you're also not having to write a description, and you're also not having to measure, which I have had to grab a few measurements from people who have asked for them through DMs or whatever, which has been no problem. But for the most part, people are just buying immediately, and also there is a little bit of a sense of urgency because those items can be claimed extremely quickly. So a lot of the items, especially the $25 items that I've been selling, have been selling within 10 minutes of showing the haul. And so that cuts down on a lot of having to describe, look up, and, you know, do all of that other guesswork in between. It's really just simplifying the whole process, and also PayPal is taking less of a fee on top of everything else. So there's just so many benefits to it, and I would say that if you are growing your Instagram following and you want to try something like this, I think it's a great way to make extra income on top of the platforms that you're already selling on. Okay, so now I want to go through all of the things that you guys are going to need to get set up in order to do this. So first of all, you're going to need to talk to your followers about this, whether that be polls in your stories or posting on your feed or whatever, and getting some feedback on this. Is this something that your followers want? Is this something that you're going to actually be making money on? Is this going to be a big waste of your time because nothing is really selling and people aren't really interested in buying from your page? These are a lot of questions I had in the beginning, and so I had to do a lot of like guesswork and also asking my followers. So maybe if your platform isn't so much about reselling and it's not about selling items, this might seem a little bit off. So I would definitely ask your audience before you do this if this is something that they actually want you to do. All right, the next thing that I kind of wanted to touch on, because I know this is something that people have really been asking me about, is the fact that you do need to grow your following in order for this to work. Obviously, if you have a very loyal, like small following of people and they're very interested in what you're buying, you can be really successful with this. But the more you grow your Instagram and the more eyes you have on your product, the better you're gonna do. So I would say definitely work on growing your social media. If this is something that you're really interested in doing and you want to have those instant sales and people who are looking forward to purchasing from you, you need to grow that audience. And I know this isn't necessarily easy to do, but I think consistency on Instagram and showing up every day, whether you want to or not, especially on your stories, is really going to be beneficial for you. On top of growing your Instagram, you also need to have an active PayPal account, obviously, because you're going to need to send the invoices. And one other thing I wanted to mention is that if you do not have a PayPal business account, I would highly recommend getting that and downloading the PayPal business app. Now, I say this about the PayPal business app because I had no idea that this even existed because I had never looked into it, and PayPal wasn't a huge part of my business at that point. So my friend Kristen over at Voyages of Verb on Instagram messaged me and said, hey, if you don't have the PayPal business app, highly recommend you download it because it's so beneficial for sending invoices. And she was 100% right, because it takes about 20 seconds to send an invoice on this app. I'm dead serious. You put in the information and send it, and it takes literally 25 to 30 seconds or so. So it's really easy to use, and also you have a lot of insights and data on the app, so you're able to see your quarterly sales, you're able to see the sales for the day. So PayPal gives you so much opportunity to see how you're doing and what you could improve on. So that's another really big perk of working with that app. Okay, one of the big questions I've also been getting about how to sell through PayPal is how the heck do I ship? Especially from Poshmark sellers, because I know Poshmark makes it so easy to ship out. You just print the label and put it on the box. But with PayPal, it's really simple. I will say you do need to buy a scale, which you can buy on Amazon, and I will link that down in my description box below if you guys need to buy a scale. But you do need to know how much the item's gonna weigh. The other thing I wanted to mention is that I pay the shipping on PayPal. So with the lower fees, I am able to offer free shipping. So whatever price they pay for the item is including shipping, and that's just the way I do it to make it really simple. So I pay the shipping, but most of the items that I'm selling are shipping for first class, which means that they cost a little bit less because they're lightweight. But also you can charge just a little bit more in your total price to cover for maybe a priority box or something that's going to be a little bit heavier. So for example, if I sell a lot of shoes, I am going to charge just a little bit more in the price to cover part of that shipping cost, because I know that's going to cost me a little bit more. But shipping on PayPal PayPal is really easy. You just log into your account and you can just go to each transaction, go in and ship your item. It's very easy. If you've never used it, I maybe would look up a tutorial on how to do PayPal shipping, but it's very simple. I mean, it's very straightforward as long as you know how much the item weighs. So I would say shipping, it's not as easy as Poshmark, but it's overall very simple. Okay, and then the last thing I wanted to go over is a little bit about what is selling for me on Instagram, which this is going to vary very drastically from my audience to yours. And also, Instagram is really hard to nail down because you have so many different kinds of followers. I would say even more so than Poshmark because they're shopping for something specific. But when you're just showing items that you're finding and showing them and giving them an opportunity to buy it, you really have no idea what's going to sell. But I will say my top 3 tips would be to pick up casual styles. I actually tend to sell a lot more tops and sweatshirts and things that are a lot more casual on Instagram, more so than even on Poshmark. So I've been focusing a lot more on casual styles and athletic wear on Instagram. And also I will say that the price point needs to be fairly low, or at least in my case, most of the time, most of my items are selling for $70 or less, and most of them are selling for $40 or less. So they are looking to get a good deal, especially my platform on Instagram. I have a lot of deal hunters who follow me, so it's definitely important to keep that price pretty low. And also, again, I'm looking for those casual styles. One other thing I would mention is that I don't really typically pick up a whole lot of dresses to put on Instagram, just because I feel like that's something that usually needs a few measurements, and also it's a little more fancy, and I feel like my audience is pretty casual. So most of the time, unless it's a more casual style, maybe from Free People or something, I'm going ahead and putting those dresses directly onto Poshmark. So I just wanted to give you guys those 3 quick tips on inventory in case that helps you. Alright, and finally, the last thing I wanted to talk about a little bit is what I'm doing with the inventory that's not selling through Instagram. So for me, this is a really nice perk because I'm buying inventory that I would typically go ahead and put onto my Poshmark closet anyways. So I'm a full-time Poshmark seller, and I am able to list that inventory over on Poshmark in case it doesn't sell on Instagram, which there have been many times in the last few weeks, especially that those items have sold for more over on Poshmark just because there was the right buyer there. So I don't want to discount the fact that other platforms are very beneficial, because there's a lot of buyers that maybe you're not interacting with who are looking for your specific item. So like I said, I'm listing those dresses, I'm listing formal wear, I'm listing a lot of heels and shoes and things like that that people might be searching for over on Poshmark. And so it's nice because I already have that platform set up for anything that might not sell to my Instagram audience. The Instagram platform for me is basically just a way to go ahead and get those products moving as quickly as possible and give you guys a really good deal over on Instagram before it gets listed. Alright, so that is the basic overview of how to sell on Instagram. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, be sure to give this a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel down below. And also, if you have any specific questions that I didn't answer in this video and you want me to make an additional video about Instagram, be sure to leave a comment below and I would be happy to answer them. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video.